I never thought I'd be one of those guys who finds out his wife is cheating on him through some random, gut-wrenching discovery. Lisa and I had been together for about 8 years, married for 5. Things weren't perfect, but I thought we were solid. We had our ups and downs, some fights, some long nights of silence, but I always believed we were in this together, that she was my person. Until I started noticing little things that didn't sit right. It started with her phone. She was always glued to it more than usual. She'd hide it when I entered the room, get defensive if I tried to peek at her screen. I remember one night, I caught her quickly deleting a message, her eyes flickering with something I couldn't quite put my finger on. She told me it was just a work email or a spam message, but I had my doubts. I didn't say anything then, figured maybe I was overthinking. She's always been a bit bitchy when she's stressed, and I thought maybe I was just imagining things. Then came the trip. Lisa went skiing with her friends for a weekend at this fancy resort. I stayed home working on some project. When she came back, she looked different, more distant, avoiding eye contact. She had this weird energy, like she was hiding something. I tried to brush it off, but I couldn't shake the feeling that she was lying about something. She claimed she was exhausted from the trip, that she met a lot of friendly people, including some ski patrol guys. Said she hit it off with a guy named Chad, but it was all innocent banter and recovery advice from him because she'd hurt her ankle. That should have been the first red flag, but I let it slide. I've always been trusting, probably too trusting. But then I noticed her texts. No, not just texts. Her messages with Chad kept popping up, and they weren't just casual. They were flirty. A lot of "miss you" and "can't wait to see you again." I found myself sneaking a glance at her phone when she was in the shower or passed out from exhaustion. She'd delete some messages, but not all of them. I saw enough to know she was hiding something. One day, I decided to check the resort's webcam feed. It's common for ski resorts to have webcams streaming live from various points around the mountain. I knew her schedule, her physical therapy sessions, and I thought I'd see if she was being honest about staying in her room. Instead, I caught her. There she was, walking into a staff cabin with Chad. The webcam feed was grainy as hell, but it was unmistakable. They were together. She was lying to me about her whereabouts, and I could see her with my own eyes. That was the moment everything shattered inside me. The trust I had was gone. I remember feeling like I'd been punched in the stomach, like my world was spiraling out of control. I couldn't believe she'd do this to me, to us. I always thought Lisa was a bit of a bitch, but I never thought she'd cheat. And on top of that, with some ski patrol guy, it was so cliché, yet it cut so deep. I felt so many things: anger, betrayal, heartbreak, humiliation. How long had she been doing this? Had she been lying about everything? I kept watching the screen, waiting for her to come out of that cabin, knowing she was with him, knowing I'd been so stupid to trust her. When I finally confronted her, the explosion was inevitable. I got home early that day, found her phone, and saw even more messages. I grabbed her, pulled her aside, and asked her outright, "Who is Chad? Who the hell is this guy you're with?" She looked at me, eyes cold, and lied right there. Said he was just a friend, just someone giving her advice about her recovery, that he was just a good listener. She sneered, accused me of always spying, of not trusting her. But I knew better. I saw the truth in her eyes, and I saw the text she didn't delete. I felt my stomach turn as I realized her lies were just beginning. I never knew betrayal could feel this raw. It's like suddenly everything I believed in was a lie. I felt stupid for trusting her, for thinking we had something real. And then came the rage, hot, uncontrollable. I wanted to shake her, scream at her, tear her apart for how she's betrayed everything we built. But I kept my cool, at least outwardly. Inside, I was burning. The only thing I could think about was how I was going to make her pay for this. How I was going to make her regret what she did. I knew right then that I couldn't go on pretending everything was okay. I needed a plan, a way to make her see that she couldn't just cheat and get away with it. This was just the beginning. After I confronted her, Lisa's reaction was nothing I expected. She denied everything, of course. Said Chad was just a recovery buddy, that they only talked for advice because he was the only one who knew how to help her with her ankle. She had this bitchy sneer on her face, like I was crazy for even questioning her. She told me I was paranoid, that I was overreacting. She called me controlling and accused me of not trusting her. I couldn't believe it. How could she lie so blatantly? I had seen enough with my own eyes, her walking into that cabin, the messages. But she kept denying it, and her words just made me angrier. I felt this whirlwind of emotions: anger, betrayal, heartbreak. I didn't want to believe she'd do this, but it was all there, staring me in the face. I tried to stay calm, but inside I was boiling. I wanted to lash out, to scream, but I knew that wouldn't solve anything. Instead, I said I needed some time to think, that we should talk later. She smirked and told me to stop being so dramatic, that she was tired of my accusations. That's when I realized I couldn't trust her anymore. Not really. Not after what I saw. That night I didn't sleep. I kept replaying everything. The texts, her sneering face, the webcam footage. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind. For years I thought we had something real, something worth fighting for, but this was the end of it. I knew I had to do something, something calculated. I couldn't just walk away and let her keep this secret. I needed a way to make her feel the pain she was causing me, to see how much she'd hurt me, how much she'd betrayed our life together. The next day I started to plan. I didn't want a messy confrontation, at least not yet. I wanted her to feel like she was losing control, to see that I wasn't just some naive husband who got played. I knew she was a manipulative woman, bitchy, selfish, and good at covering her tracks. But I also knew her weak spots: her pride, her guilt, and her desire to keep her affair hidden. I decided I'd turn the tables, but I had to be careful. I couldn't let her suspect that I knew everything. Not yet. I gathered evidence, screenshots of the messages, the webcam footage saved discreetly on my phone, her recent bank transactions showing calls and travel expenses related to the resort. I even got a small recording of her talking to Chad at the resort, which I played back to myself whenever I felt the rage bubbling up. I stayed quiet, acting like everything was normal, but I was making plans. I wanted her to slip up, to reveal her true colors, to give me the leverage I needed for what was coming next. Meanwhile, she kept up her act, pretending everything was fine, accusing me of being paranoid and possessive. She called me jealous and insecure, which made me laugh bitterly. She was the one sneaking around, lying, cheating. And yet she had the nerve to accuse me of being the problem. The more she lied, the more I realized how much I hated her. But I also knew I needed to keep my cool. If I lost control, I'd ruin everything. My chance for revenge, my chance to make her see what she's done. So I played it smart. I kept her close, watched her every move, and waited for the right moment. I knew she thought she got away with it, that she was untouchable. But I was about to remind her that no one gets away with betrayal forever. I was ready to make her regret how she'd treated me, how she'd played me for a fool. And when that moment came, she wouldn't even see it coming. I just had to be patient, keep my emotions in check, and let her slip a little more. Then I'd strike. All the while I felt this gnawing hurt underneath. I loved her, at least I thought I did. But now I wasn't sure what that even meant anymore. How could she do this? How could she lie so easily? I started questioning everything: myself, our marriage, whether I was stupid for ever trusting her. It was like my whole world was crumbling, and I didn't see how I was going to fix it. All I knew was that I'd be damned if I let her walk away without paying a price. She needed to understand what she'd lost, what she'd thrown away, and I was going to make sure she felt every bit of it. Over the next few days, I kept up the facade of normalcy. I didn't want Lisa to suspect that I was onto her, but inside, I was gathering every piece of evidence I could find. I watched her carefully, noting her routines, her sneaky looks when she thought I wasn't paying attention, and her little lies. All of it was fueling my plan. I needed to hit her where it hurt, show her that I wasn't some naive fool anymore, that I knew everything and I was ready to make her regret it. One evening I came home early from work, pretending to have a lot of stress at the office. It was the perfect opportunity. I ambled in, acting like I was just tired and exhausted. She was in the living room, scrolling through her phone, looking a little too casual. I could see the flicker of guilt in her eyes when I entered. I decided to push her a little, see if she'd slip up again. I started casually asking about her day, about her physical therapy, about the trip. She responded with that bitchy tone, dismissing me, laughing a little at my concern. "Relax, honey, I'm fine. Just tired, she said, with that irritating sneer that I'd come to hate. I kept pushing, just enough to get her uncomfortable. I said I knew she was lying about the trip, about who she was with. Her reaction was immediate. Snapped, "You're crazy, you're paranoid, I don't owe you explanations for everything." She crossed her arms and shot me that icy look. I felt my blood boil. I decided it was time to really force the issue, to make her confront what I knew. I pulled out my phone and played her the recordings I'd made of her talking with Chad at the resort. Her face instantly turned pale. She stammered, "That's not what it looks like, it's just. I was upset and he was just being nice. It's not what you think." But I didn't care about her lies anymore. I had her dead to rights. I told her, "I saw you entering that cabin with him. I saw the messages. Don't even try to deny it anymore." Her eyes widened in panic, but she quickly recovered, trying to act like she was the victim. She started spinning stories. Said Chad was just a helpful guy, that she only kept talking to him because she thought he might have some good advice for her recovery, that she never intended to cheat, that I was overreacting. I looked her right in the eyes and said, "You're lying. That's all you do, lie. You're a cheat, Lisa. You've been lying to me for months and I've had enough." Her facade cracked for a second, but she quickly regained her bitchy attitude, trying to turn the tables and make me feel guilty for accusing her. That moment was a tipping point. I realized I couldn't keep pretending to be the naive husband anymore. I was angry, so damn angry. But beneath that, I also felt this immense sadness. I loved her for so long, wanted to believe she was different. But now I knew she was just a selfish, manipulative bitch who would do anything to get her way. Still, I held my ground, determined to get her to admit the truth. I wanted her to see what she'd lost me, our life, everything we built. If I had to tear her down a little to do it, I was ready. That night, after she had gone to bed, I stayed up and drafted a plan, an outline of what I was going to do next. I knew I couldn't just leave her with her lies. I needed her to feel the consequences, make her understand that her actions had destroyed the trust that once held us together. I was going to give her a taste of her own medicine, and I knew it wouldn't be pretty. The idea was cold, calculated, but I didn't see any other way. This was about justice, about making her face her betrayal. I felt a mixture of relief and dread. Relief that I finally knew the truth, and dread because I knew everything was about to change forever. I was about to make her see that she couldn't cheat and lie without paying a price. And no matter how much it hurt, I was prepared to see this through. I wanted her to understand that her bitchy attitude, her lies, her cheating, they all had a consequence. Starting from that moment, the game was on, and I was ready to win. The next morning, I decided I'd had enough of pretending. I was going to confront her again, but this time with a plan that would leave no room for her lies or excuses. I woke up early, gathered all the evidence I'd been hiding, screenshots, recordings, her bank statements, and laid everything out on the dining table. I wanted her to see that I was serious, that I wasn't going to let her manipulate her way out of this. As she stumbled into the kitchen, still looking hungover and bitchy, I just looked at her and said, "We need to talk, now." Her eyes narrowed, that typical sneer creeping across her face. "What are you talking about? I told you I'm tired. Can't this wait?" But I wasn't having any of it. I pushed the evidence toward her and said, "No, Lisa, this can't wait. I know about Chad. I know you've been lying to my face for months. I saw you entering his cabin. I saw the messages. I heard the recordings, and I'm done pretending I don't know." She looked like she'd been caught, but she still had that bitchy attitude. She scoffed, "You're crazy. You're just paranoid. You're overreacting. Chad is just a guy trying to help me. You're making a big deal out of nothing." Her voice was high-pitched, defensive, but I cut her off. "Nothing. You've been cheating on me with a ski patrol guy and you call it nothing. You've been lying, sneaking around, hiding your phone. How much more do I need to see before you admit what you've done?" Her face twisted with anger. "You're just jealous because I'm better than you, because I don't want to be stuck in this boring marriage with your ass all day. Chad's just a helping hand, that's all. You're so insecure." I cut her off again, voice firm. "No, Lisa, I'm not insecure. I'm hurt. I trusted you. I loved you. And you've been screwing around behind my back. That's what this is about." I paused, letting her process the words. "And I want you to tell me the truth right now. Are you fucking him?" She hesitated, then let out a bitter laugh. "Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. What's it to you? "You're so damn boring, you never paid attention to me anymore anyway. Chad's just more exciting than your dull ass. Maybe this was always going to happen." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I felt so many things at once. Anger, heartbreak, disgust. How could she say that? How could she be so callous? I looked at her, disgusted, and said, "So this is who you really are. Just a selfish, bitchy little slut who cheats and lies." She rolled her eyes and threw her hands up. "Fine, whatever, you want the truth. I've been unhappy for a long time. You're so controlling and boring. Chad makes me feel alive. Maybe I should have just left a long time ago, but I didn't because I thought we had something real. Turns out, I was just wasting my time with a guy who's too blind to see what's right in front of him." Her words sank in like poison. I felt myself shaking with rage and sadness. All that love, all that trust evaporated in that moment. I told her that I was done, that I wanted her out of the house, that I couldn't stand to see her anymore. She sneered again, calling me all sorts of names: jealous, insecure, pathetic. But I didn't care. I just wanted her gone, to start the process of healing from this betrayal. I knew I had to do something to reclaim my dignity, to make her see that she wasn't going to walk all over me anymore. In the days that followed, I moved out some of my things, making it clear that I was serious about ending this chapter. I didn't want to fight or scream anymore. I just wanted her gone, to leave her to stew in her own lies and betrayal. I felt empty, like someone had ripped out my heart. But I also felt a strange sense of relief. Finally, I knew the truth, and I was taking control of my life again. That was the first step, and I knew it wouldn't be easy. But I wasn't going to let her destroy me anymore. I deserved better than this. I had to remind myself of that every day. After I kicked her out, I thought I'd feel some kind of relief, but honestly it was just emptier than I expected. The house felt cold, hollow. Every corner echoed with memories of a life I thought we shared. The betrayal kept replaying in my mind. Her sneering face, the lies, her smugness when she said she was just helping Chad. I kept telling myself I had to move on, that I deserved better, but part of me still felt crushed. For days I stayed busy, dividing my time between work, trying to keep a normal routine, and going over everything again and again in my head. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how I didn't see that she'd been cheating on me for months. I was angry at her, sure, but mostly I was just hurt. Hurt that I'd loved her, trusted her, and she'd thrown it all away for some fleeting excitement with a ski patrol guy. I couldn't help but feel like a damn fool. One night I was sitting alone in my apartment, staring at my phone. I hadn't contacted her since she left, but I couldn't shake the urge to find out what she was saying to him now. I knew she'd try to spin the story as usual, but I needed to hear it straight from her. I found her number in my saved contacts, hesitated for a second, then finally dialed. When she picked up, her voice was cold, clipped. "What do you want?" I told her I just wanted to hear her say it, if she was still messing around with Chad, if she was planning to keep lying, or if she was finally going to admit the truth. There was silence on the line, then she said, "You're crazy. You think I'd talk to you after what you did? You're a joke." But I pressed her further. "Are you sleeping with Chad? Are you still seeing him?" My voice was steady, but inside I was trembling. She hesitated, then snapped, "Yeah, maybe I am. So what? You're so obsessed with what I do. I don't owe you anything. You're just a boring husband who couldn't keep me happy anyway." Hearing her admit it, even in a bitter, angry way, made my stomach turn. I felt my fists clench. I didn't need her to say more. I knew enough. That night I realized I entered a new phase. I couldn't fix what was broken, not anymore. I'd lost the woman I loved, probably for good. But I could decide what kind of person I was going to be from here on out. I could let her ruin me, or I could pick up the pieces and move forward. I chose the latter. I decided to focus on myself, on healing, on rebuilding my confidence, and on making sure she didn't get the last word. I knew I had to let go of my anger, though it wasn't easy. Every time I thought about her with Chad, I felt a rage deep inside that was hard to contain. But I also knew that revenge wouldn't bring me peace. Instead, I started to think about how I could come out of this better, stronger. I needed to rebuild my self-esteem, rediscover who I was outside of that marriage. It was time to stop living in the past and start focusing on my future. In a strange way, this whole experience taught me a lot about trust and what I want from a relationship. Lisa's selfishness, her bitchy attitude, her lies, they showed me how much I was willing to tolerate before. And I realized I'd been too blind, too naive. But now I could see clearly. I knew I deserved someone who wouldn't cheat, who wouldn't lie, who would respect me. That knowledge burned a little, but it also gave me clarity. I didn't want to be with someone who thought cheating was acceptable. I wanted honesty, loyalty, and respect, things she clearly didn't have anymore. So I started focusing on myself. I joined a gym, got back into my hobbies, started seeing friends more often. It wasn't easy, and there were days I felt like giving up, but I told myself that I was better off without her. I had to remind myself that I was worth more than a betrayal like hers. This wasn't what I imagined my life would look like, but I knew I could rebuild, that I could find happiness again. I just had to keep moving forward, one step at a time. Weeks turned into months. The pain of her betrayal still lingered, but I started to notice something unexpected, my own strength. I'd spent so long feeling like a victim, but at some point I realized I was still standing. I was rebuilding my life piece by piece. And surprisingly, I was beginning to feel like I was regaining control. The anger had ebbed, replaced by a slow, steady resolve. I no longer hated her. I just felt sorry for her, for how she threw away something real for fleeting thrills with Chad. I learned a lot in this process. Trust, I found out, isn't something you can take for granted. It's fragile, and once broken, it's nearly impossible to fix without a lot of work she clearly wasn't willing to do. I also learned that revenge, while tempting, doesn't bring peace. What I really needed was to reclaim myself, to learn how to be happy without her. That meant forgiving myself for trusting her, accepting what had happened, and making a conscious choice to move forward. Looking back, I see how her bitchy, manipulative attitude played a big role in everything. She always thought she was smarter, better, more entitled. Yet her lies and cheating only revealed how weak she was underneath that facade. For me, the real victory was realizing I didn't need her to be whole, that I could stand tall on my own. I don't carry any bitterness anymore, just a cautious hope for what's ahead. Now I've moved into a smaller apartment, started dating again, and honestly I feel more like myself than I have in years. I don't hate her, but I do see her for what she is, someone who threw away a good man for a little excitement. And that's her loss, not mine. I've learned that infidelity and lies come at a cost, and I refuse to be a part of that kind of toxicity anymore. This whole experience has changed me. I'm more cautious, more aware of what I deserve, and I trust myself a lot more. If I could give anyone advice from this, it's this: never ignore the signs. When someone shows you they're not loyal, don't justify it, don't make excuses. Protect your heart, your dignity, and your worth. Because someday you'll look back and realize that the pain was just a stepping stone to something better, something truly worth fighting for. And so, I move on. Without her, without the betrayal, and without the baggage of lies and cheating, I'm finally free, and honestly, I feel more alive than I have in a long time. Sometimes, it takes losing everything to realize what you truly value. I lost her, but I found myself, and that's something I'll never regret.